Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I'm joined today by Jonathan Hibma, Managing Director of EFFI Finance. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan.
All right, sir. Good to be talking with you.
It's great to have you on the program. We've known each other for several years. I think a lot of the times we just sit there at a conference and just kind of give like a little fist bump because we're just running back and forth between meetings. So it's nice to kind of get you in a setting like this to kind of learn more about your career and to talk about EFFI.
Yeah, well, this is excellent. I love being on your platform, and I'm happy to share anything we can. At some point, I want to make sure we talk a little about EF Cares because I'm a little bit of a neophyte to all the things that you do there. And prepping for this call, I was pretty impressed with what you've been accomplishing.
Thank you for that. And yeah, we'll definitely make sure we get a little sidebar on that. But for those individuals who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career in equipment finance?
Yeah, so should we start at the beginning? That's always a good start. I actually started out in college with a degree in economics, but also biochemistry with a focus on cell bio. And you go, that must have been by plan. And I would say, no, it wasn't. Started in the sciences and then added the economics. Actually started on the linoleum side of the building doing the DNA sequencing and wanted to get to the carpeted side of the building and be able to do some of the business side of it. Jumped into that and had a interview opportunity that came up with a finance company that I'd never heard of. Didn't know what equipment finance was. Probably the same story you hear from almost everyone you talk to. And next thing I know, I was in Phoenix for an interview. I was in Irvine for an interview. Um, Family friends knew of another company for me, and I got started in a small boutique, frankly, even in a cube. And this is before we even had a CRM. So we're talking yellow pads, pens, pencils, actually dialing with the numbers back in the prehistoric times. It was great though, because I was able to kind of translate some of the knowledge I had, at least what I thought I had in economics, and also talk with, transportation industry was the place I started, and then kind of rolled into manufacturing and rolled into, gosh, you name it, construction and heavy haul and aerocraft and what have you. But but yeah, you take a college kid and you give them an opportunity to work hard, and this amazing world called equipment finance is right there at your fingertips. And it is so impressive what's going on out there.
Yeah, it takes me back to the sales days I had in like 2005. So I think you and I both graduated college 2003.
Hmm.
Looking back at your LinkedIn profile, sorry, I had to do a little research, right?
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
my first sales job was Yellow Book
Oh,
in the Northeast, right? So you had your voice recorder, you sit there seeing these things go by, you're like talking about that, and you go back and you write everything down. It's
yep.
like, yeah, no CRM. It's like my pad and paper and my, business cards, Rolodex thing. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to commend each other for doing a great job of transforming from the analog world that we were into to the digital and AI world that we're in now.
Yeah. Now it's just, oh, what have you put in CRM lately? And it's like, give me back my pen and paper. It's like
Yeah.
type dual stuff. But anyhow, yeah, that's fantastic.
But I will say I got started. It went well. I did jump out for a little bit. I did a little banking. Went to work for a business bank that got me into some credit training. And you wouldn't believe it, but 2008, that changed, right? With the financial crash and all the things that were going on at that point. I jumped back into equipment finance and I got into capital markets. And that's where things really kind of changed for me. Granted, it was the worst time to get involved in capital markets. You might say the best time because it's only gotten better since then. And I didn't know any different. But really get to learn about why we stay in this business. I think that's one of your key topics is why is it that equipment finance is something that we all have known to grow and love, and we've managed through the ebbs and flows of it. Well, candidly, I started to meet guys that I was interested in their success. They were interested in my success. I got to really know customers. I got to really know our capital partners, and long-term relationships really happened. It was more of the high five and the hugs that really was more fun for me than perhaps the transaction. So did that for a
Um,
little bit while longer. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things. Like the transactional sale, you really don't have that here. It's just relationship selling, which is
It's
phenomenal.
yeah, that's the if you go in with that model, you're thinking 10-year term with these clients, they're going to feel it and see it, and it works out even when you go through the challenging things. So in any event, so in 2014, went ahead and we put together our own brand, put up our own shingle, so to speak, and got started doing our own thing. And that was kind of an exciting point for me to get out on my own. I had a great partner with me at the time, and we got running. We did a lot of growth over the next several years. He and I ended up going separate ways, but when he moved to a new bank, we ended up working together on transactions at his new bank. So it's been really a good way of continuity with for people that have come in and out of the company. You always love them coming in, and sometimes it's bittersweet when they move on, but you know that we're all better because of it. And that was another good example of that. So we've passed the 10-year mark, coming in on 12 years now, and it has been a blast with plenty of challenges. But I would
Of
say that
course.
perseverance is the key.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And I guess that'll be a perfect segue into, just introduce EFFI Finance and kind of I mean, obviously you're in a beautiful location, right?
Oh, yeah. We're in
Just,
Southern California down here. Uh, I'm a Californian, uh, born and raised out here. And while there's so many great parts of the rest of the country, I've continued to stay here. We focus primarily on that middle market company and that client that could be as low as 10 million in revenue. Typically, there's several hundred million in revenue. And we focus on really their like hard assets. It's going to be the infrastructure focus, trucks, trailers, manufacturing equipment, construction, cranes, concrete, and then we also do aircraft, which is kind of a fun project for us to do too. It's a little bit different than the other because it's a symphony of attorneys that you have to put in play. But when you've got so many smart people working on a deal, it's pretty fun to see. Um, and that's put a nice little niche for us. There's a number of folks that do much better than us at other things, and we'll introduce them to deals that don't really quite fit for us. And the best is when they introduce us into a deal that does fit better for us, and you kind of can see again, that relational process, the way that we all work together and fit together.
yeah, we'll make sure we circle back to that aspect of that to that exact point there in a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that makes this industry special. Um, so how many employees do you have, Jonathan?
Yeah, we're a small boutique shop. So while we might have been up to 13, 14 at one point, we're down in the five range right now.
Okay.
And it's really kind of amazing because we've outsourced a number of our roles, everything from our accounting to some of our legal and documentation. We've been able to kind of stay as a nimble team, but also I was just thinking about the other day, we get to rely on and work with so many really smart players and people. Um, that it feels like a big family of 50.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know your core competency, let other people do theirs, and you guys stick to yours. So,
Yeah, just
uh,
the other day, who was it? I was talking to someone who was an expert in software. We were trying to get their expertise on what we should do. Looks a lot like you, sir.
uh, let me know if you can introduce me to him. Seems like a
Yeah,
nice
no,
guy.
he's great.
That's great.
But
And
all kidding aside, we do look to folks like yourself for that like consultative approach. Help us with what we're trying to figure out. Man, I'd like to be an expert on all these things, but for example, which software to choose for your operation. You can spend a lot of money, a lot of time making a bad decision. And so one of the things I've learned is try and get some expertise in. That's really a good way to do it.
no, I like that approach to business. I mean, you know what you're good at, and more importantly, like me, like I know what I'm not good at. And as soon as someone starts to ask me, it's like, oh, hey, can you do this? I'm like, no. I'm like, what do you
Right.
mean no? I'm like, well, no, I don't want to struggle through doing this when this other person can do it better, and that's what they do.
Oh, don't get me
Um,
wrong. I love saying yes, right? But
yeah,
if you listen to any of the best, they always talk about be really comfortable saying no.
it's like, well, we really want to use you. How much? I'm like $2,000 an hour. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Go to that person over there. You know,
Yep. Yep.
I don't want this. And that goes back to your point in regards to some deals that you have coming in. I mean, ideally, if you have your hands on something, you'd love to find a home for it. But if it's in somebody else's wheelhouse and they can provide a better experience for your customer, those people are going to reciprocate. And I think
Well, I'll tell
that's
you what. I've worked in a lot of different transactions, credit profiles, asset types, and every time I go to credit manager or credit guys, I'm like, this deal is going to be great. I love every deal, and because I've been in capital markets, been able to see how that works in so many different ways. That's why they didn't give me the pen. We have credit people that help make those decisions.
it's like the sales guy, credit guy always kind of was it jousting
Yeah,
where you just it's storied.
right.
All right, Jonathan, tell me the story behind it.
Yep. Well, but I mean, that's the thing. If you can tell a good story and you can see the positivity in something,
Yeah,
you might be able to finish your way around it. We do a lot of that. I would say one of our differentiators is the structuring part. I always like to say the well priced plus well structured is well financed, but it's in that structure that really helps you manage the issues. You've got good company that just fits out, it's just outside of a box for someone. For us, we can be able to put it in if we do the right structuring. And we've learned a lot of great things from candidly a lot of people in the market and the industry have made us better. And that's how we've been able to help a lot of folks, whether they're just about to have some issues, we bring them back, or they've had issues and we're going to help them out of them.
sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and it's amazing how stringent some, I guess, credit boxes can be for small businesses that are very successful, but they're just missing that one or two things. And it's just, I mean, that's, I think, one of the main reasons equipment finance is around, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
to solve those needs.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I think to get anything from a bank now, what do you have to give them your firstborn or something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well,
like, wait,
I
what?
don't want to beat up on bakes too much. We need them there, but they definitely create some opportunity for us. There's those things that we just can't do because they are too much of a bank product. But I will tell you, you're absolutely right. It's nice to not be under that type of scrutiny.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And then, so now, being, I guess, a team player to now running a team or running an organization, kind of walk me through that. Because I'm sure at some point when you guys were going off, it's like, oh, this will be great. I'm going to be the boss. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to tackle the world. And then you get the title, and then you're like, wait, who's doing this? Who,
Oh my
who's
gosh.
doing that?
Yeah. I would say it is something everyone should try. And I know not everyone will subscribe to that and they'll have their reasoning or their season that says they can't. But I would say everyone should try. And you'd be amazed at what is inside of you deep that you can actually do and will work out really well for you. Well,
Phenomenal. It gave you a thumbs up. That was
yeah.
now let's leave that there. I've never
Okay.
had that happen before
That's
on
a
this,
good one.
so that's
Yeah.
a good one. Zoom agrees.
Yes. My point of what I'm really trying to get at is when you put yourself in that type of situation and you want to be a leader, you may find that you fall flat and you may find that others are like not subscribing to what you really want to do. Or you may find that people are thrilled to support you and support the goals and be on a team. And for me, that's always been something I've been a part of is teams. And I love the leadership element of it. I don't mind taking the fall. I also don't mind being the ones responsible. But my favorite part is when you just give the right amount of push to someone and they come through and do something far better than they thought was possible. But where it really gets interesting, Jesse, what maybe you and I should be thinking about ourselves is that book called From Strengths to Strengths. It's where we were the young stud sales guys. Now we need to transition to the more senior, and you can see the wisdom coming through my beard, wisdomist and really giving that new strength of not being the one that does it, but coaching the ones that do it. And when you see that and you see them excel, oh, that's where it's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'd rather contribute to someone else's sale than go out and do it myself, just because, I mean, there's just something about that. Um, I don't know, that feeling is just great. But
Yeah.
yeah, I I agree 100%. And that's kind of always been one of those things I think that I've kind of seen in equipment finance. It's like, okay, well, changing of the guard. And I think we're seeing it now more than ever. All those people that were retiring towards the end of 2025 and the people that will be retiring in 26. I mean, there's just a lot of senior people in this industry that are going to be transitioning out. And it's like, okay, who's going to be willing to step into some of those roles? Um, and yeah, I think ELFA does a good job. I think NIFA, I mean, they're doing a good job trying to find the next generation. It's just, I guess, who in our age group of 40 to 50 is going to put their hand up and say, let's go.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you will. I've put my hand up. This is an industry that we can really lean into.
Yeah.
And when you said it right, there's a lot of greats in the industry that have been doing amazing things, whether it be just in their own organizations, whether it be in DC, keeping things accurate for us, keeping us as an important, sort of market, if you will. And then just the people that you see at the ELFA conferences and the EFFI conferences always giving back to that marketplace. It is impressive.
So if you could go back 12 years from now, what advice would you give? What would you do, I guess, do differently, if anything, if you were starting EFFI right now?
Oh my gosh, good question. I don't necessarily have regrets about what has happened over the last 12 years. But I also like to consider the optimization. So where we've had some really great success and we've been able to do a lot of neat things for a lot of companies, I'm totally proud of those moments. Where we've been able to get through the COVID era and support our team, where we've been able to get through the go years before that, and then some of the slow years after that really have been great, great for me, great for our team to figure out how to operate, how to persevere, how to be successful. I will say I do think that there's some folks that have done a really good job in their way of leading a team through vendor programs, leading a team through some big capital raises. There's been some super impressive things that companies have done with raising money from private equity firms to getting their lines to doing from the lines into their big ABSs. That's super impressive. And so I think a little bit, if I was to give some suggestions to people looking to start or considering a pivot, I think it's really being able to align with a good, strong team that's close knit that you can get through those thick and thin things. That's A1. And then two might be the right way of looking at your markets, creating that moat so that you can then raise your capital so that you can then deploy a really good, solid business plan that allows you to get to your ABS. And the folks that have done that, hats off to them. That's really the impressive thing to see. And I think that's not only creating value for their organization, for their clients who need the capital finance, but also the investors or investors, sometimes how it works out. The companies that have done that, I just can see them get through the stress of it. And there's a bit of hats off to them for doing such a great job.
Sure, sure. That's not an easy process by any stretch. When I
Right.
sit there and talk to people like, oh yeah, I'm going to a securitization. And I'm like, what's the big deal? And then I sit there and I see all the requirements behind it. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
okay.
Pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. Where you bring in people like us to make sure the reporting's in line, the accounting
Yeah.
matches
Come on,
up,
man.
and everything else. And they just go like, all right, it's an
Yeah.
opportunity. Let's go. Let's go. Um, Next question I have for you, Jonathan, is going from, so you're starting off, you know, like broker to potentially like building towards more of a funding source, holding your own balance sheet. Kind of walk me through that mindset in regards to, taking everything up front and letting, you guys still have some recourse, I'm sure, but then you're letting everything else go and then someone else makes the premium on the back end. So walk me through kind of that mindset, and at what point does that shift within an organization, if any?
Yeah, so since we started, we ended up making sure we had our lender's license for California. That was important to be operating. And we began with the model very similar to a lot of folks, which is like a discounting model where we really do funding with a partner, if you will, another bank or finance company, family office, shoot, insurance, you name it. And so we've really held that model well and have done our best to round that out so that that is a seamless transition. And it looks and feels really, EFFI is the lead for most of those deals. We've always held a small amount, and whether that would be something that's leverageable is kind of hard to say. We did most of it just out of our own equity and cash, and a little bit of just because we're in the game and we see it so closely that we get into these deals. And that, frankly, has really been what's helped us get through the thick and thin times, is having that book and having that ability to fund through those periods. Uh, Remember what I said earlier. We are kind of someone here who loves every deal. So I've really had to lean upon the people that I work with and also our outside credit managers, inside credit managers to kind of go, hey, this one not so much, but this one, yes. And I always try to be like, but that one, I really like that guy. He's good. So we do
Just
go through that.
slide it in there on a Friday afternoon on the 31st of the month and be like, hey,
Yes, we got to get that guy.
oh,
And so I would say overall, it's worked out very well for us. And even when we've had um, issues like clients go bankrupt, we've had that. We've experienced it. We've been involved and stayed very close to those deals and make sure that anything that is potentially with one of our partners, we cover it. And then also we make sure that if anything was on our own, we have the patience to make it work through. So yeah, that transition, we're still in the middle of it. I mean, we to talk about a small portfolio and compare it to what some of my peers are at is a big gap. But as we continue, there's sophistication that comes with it. There's a mentality shift that comes with it, right? This is much longer term decision, and we're ready for that. It's really something that we've built the engine, we've built the knowledge, the experience. So it's something I think kind of just happens. What do they say? It's a overnight success, 10 years in the making type of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, I agree, and you mentioned something really important there, where when you're holding your own book and everything, it gets you through those ebbs and flows. And I don't think a lot of people think about that as they're going through the methodology of, okay, on your own, I'm going to broker, just going to broker because I want everything up front. I want all my stuff right now. And you're not kind of preparing for, you mentioned transportation back when I got started, right? How are those companies doing over the last 12 to 18 months? If that's the
Yeah.
only thing they were doing in brokering, it's like,
Yeah.
like
That's been a tough one. And I spoke with some of those guys at the conference in Huntington, and you can see they've been through a couple of really tough years. And guess what? They're making it.
yeah,
And guess what? They've got ways through to get through. So this too shall pass. It's kind of a way to look at it.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's
so
great. I mean,
yeah,
it's this industry. It's just it's not going to be, that all the time. It's just going to be this, and there's
right.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that was the majority of the questions that I wanted to ask. I know we'll ask some more in closing. Um,
Well,
you know,
so if we have a pivot point, tell me a little
yeah.
bit about EF Care. So, not that I really want to make it a big plug about your program because that's not your goal, but my goal is to frankly serve you a little bit. Tell me, like, this is something that I haven't really gotten involved in. I've seen it, and you've just in the background quietly have grown this thing to you got what 7, 8 people on your board. You've got events. You've raised tons of money. Like, give me the
Yeah,
goods.
so
Tell me about it.
it started off. I'm sure you've met Laverne Gordon at some point.
Oh yes, lovely
Um,
Laverne.
yeah, yeah. So the MC at NIFA, that I'm like, no one should ever give you a mic with those speakers. Like you don't need a microphone, Laverne, right?
Yeah,
I
she's
started
great.
in COVID. We started working on a book project that kind of talks about her story of being two-time domestic violence survivor.
Mm,
And Brooke and I, my partner and I were working with her on that project and helped her publish that book, to share her story. And we were looking for a platform, because of the network that I had in equipment finance, all the customers that I had over, I guess at that point, 15 years, Jonathan. So, was reaching out to some people saying, hey, we're going to be at this NEFA event in Minnesota. I'm going to put on a separate event to try to promote Laverne's, project. Is this something that you'd be willing to attend? And everyone's like, they know Laverne. They saw the cover of the book, and I don't have it, so I'm doing this interview a little injustice. But basically, the cover of her domestic violence memoir is her, but half of her face is with special effects makeup, like beaten.
mm,
So people saw that, and it was the same time as the George Floyd stuff going on, and they were like,
mm,
I don't know if I wanted anything to do with any of this social issue. And I was like, oh,
right.
okay, I see where this is going. And I'm like, okay, it's not a social issue. It's not a party issue. It's, domestic violence is a humanitarian issue. So it's trying to explain that. So I had to pivot real quick and sat there and I reached out to Deb Rubin. I said, hey, if I moderate a panel and you moderate a panel, will you do that? Are you interested? So we did a sales panel and an operations panel, and it was June of 2021. So in the
Ah,
height of all these things, where is it? Do I have to wear a mask? Do I not have to wear a mask? So
yeah.
we ended up putting on an event. We had 60 people in downtown Minneapolis come to this event. And it wasn't just about Laverne. That was the main focus. But years of having a T&E budget, I understood who else in the Twin Cities, who else had charities or nonprofits that were passion projects of theirs.
Right.
So I asked other organizations like Northland Capital, Dedicated, at the time Honor Capital, these people that I knew had a charity or a passion project to come speak on why they do this work, this community work outside of their 9 to 5. Hypothetically, no one works 9 to 5 anymore. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
so after that event, like that event, we ended up netting like a whopping $1,000
Okay.
after all
Get
the
started.
expenses. So I took that, and there was 5 charities, and I gave each of the charities $200 and said,
Mm,
"Here you go." Um, from there, we put a press release out on it. My friend Sean Arnone, who works at Key Equipment Finance, was like, "Hey, I'd like to do one of those at my club in New York. Can we do one in August?" Sure. Don Hanson from Regents is like, "Hey, I'd like to host one of those at my office. Can we do one of those in November?" Sure. Light bulb. Okay, we got something here. Let's go through these. When you start taking sponsor dollars for putting on events, it's a big fan of I'm like, transparency, everything. Hey, here's where every dollar is going.
yeah.
Talked to Bob Cohen from More Hawk and Hamroth. I'm like, Bob, could you guys help me out and help me turn this into a 501c3?
Very
For
good.
transparency purposes, they did it pro bono. They set up EF Cares Inc., formed an advisory council with a board, just because
Yeah.
like I don't want people sitting there thinking where it's like, what's Jesse doing with all this money he's bringing in? So,
Yeah.
you know, had the transparency from the beginning and then just kept going. And when you start to talk to people about their passion projects and kind of what that means to them, and some of it's about like, hey, my family member had cancer. This is something we're really passionate about. We want to go volunteer. Or, my brother's a veteran, PTSD and all those different stats. So basically, what we do is we just provide a platform. We start off all of our events with kind of a human side of equipment finance panel that kind of is a blend of why I do these interviews, right? It's like, why do we love this industry and why are we so passionate about it? We talk about culture and what culture means to organizations. Talk about next generation of talent, like how we doing to, hire and maintain people. Then we just kind of talk some best practices, what we have going on in the industry. The one that we have coming up in Connecticut, we're doing a human side of AI, where it's just AI is obviously the huge buzz right now, but there needs to be some kind of human that's driving this. And as opposed to fearing it, how do we leverage it to make us better? So it's
Yeah.
just kind of sharing kind of best practices, getting people in a room. We average probably between 50 and 70 people for
Hmm.
each one of these events. And, uh, I'm not going to lie, a lot of it's just the people that I know in the industry. And
Right.
fortunately, 20 years of having a T&E budget, the majority of people that I now know, I've known for a couple decades and they run companies. So you're getting access to C-level people in a rather intimate setting. And then when you can sit there and listen to them talk about what makes them tick outside of work, it's great. So the last event we did at Mazo Capital, not too far from you,
Yeah.
we had 6 charities and each of them got, between 2 and 3 grand each. So instead of
There you
writing
go.
a $200 check, now we're writing a $2,000 check. So,
Yeah. It sounds like you're doing a great job, a ton of work to pull all that off. And you're also remaining super efficient. Sometimes you donate money to a charity and of the dollar that's donated, 30 cents makes it out. I think you're saying what, 75 cents, maybe even more,
yeah,
Ed said.
last year was 75%. I mean, I've you know, over the years, when I put on the first event, I basically threw the whole thing on a credit card and it was just kind of fingers crossed where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe we
Yeah.
break even, right? And but now it's like when we have, I don't even know, 20 sponsors plus, and we're a steward of everyone's funds, right? You just have to make sure it's going in the right area, right? And we have very low overhead because we're a volunteer organization. So last year we donated 75%, but we started off this year with a nice reserve because, when we have those bigger impact projects, we want to make sure that we're sitting there saying, okay, how do we raise funds for this? It's like, no, we have a
Yeah.
reserve that we've been building over the years. So the goal this year is 80%. And then eventually we'll sit there and figure out a way to get it to 90, 95. Um, and then there are some, like we put in a CRM last year, that's an investment. So like, we got to cover some of those costs. But we had a great group of people, Jonathan, and we work in an awesome industry that's, we like to make money, but we also like to give back. That's kind of the whole theme behind Equipment Finance Cares.
Yeah. Very good. I kind of referenced the high fives and the hugs. It sounds like you're on the same page.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things where, it's like, how do you find the time? People ask me all the time, how do you find the time to do it? It's like, well, obviously I'd rather have time to be with my family, but, this is important. And you just naturally find the time. I got a good group of volunteers to help me out and kind of bridge the gap where I don't have the ability. But let's face it, we're all in business development, and it's another way for me to shake hands with people in the industry that without having Equipment Finance Cares, I might not have been able to meet.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's a great thing. Congrats.
well, hopefully that answered your question on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm further along than where I was, and getting a little time on your webpage was helpful. And then just hearing it from you and kind of where it really stemmed from is really pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I owe it to a lot of other people. I was basically a person who just took an idea and just kind of ran with it. And I'm very iterative in pretty much anything I do from a consult disrupt perspective. And EF cares. It's like, yeah, let's try that. Okay, that didn't work. All right, yeah, we tried that. We're not going to do that again. Let's go here and try again.
Your next event is end of the month, May.
May 13th, North Mill is hosting
Okay,
us in Norwalk, Connecticut.
awesome.
What a good, North Mills. I'm sure you've done some business with them over the years. They're a great group of people.
Great team.
They'll be a great host. We have our golf tournament August 3rd in New York. And then Mazo is actually looking to start a golf tournament in your backyard first quarter of next year.
Ah,
So I'll be hitting you up as we have more details for
I
that.
look forward to that. to get me out of golf retirement.
I mean, you could just ride around in a golf cart. You don't
Yeah,
have to
good,
golf. I
yeah.
mean, for New York, we actually have channel sponsors are the pool for
Yeah,
that event. So it's like the people are like, I don't want to golf. All right, do you want to sit by a nice pool, like a private country club
perfect.
pool all day long, and have water, soda, margaritas? You can go do that.
Yeah, come on by.
Yeah. But
Well, that's excellent.
thanks for letting me kind of talk through that. I don't really talk about too much anymore, so I appreciate you
No,
giving me
you got to keep letting us know. There's the people that have known you for years aren't as entrenched in it, and you're bringing us in just little by little.
little by little.
Yeah,
The long game, Jonathan, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back. So I ask everyone on this program to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So what do you enjoy doing outside of working?
Oh, very good. Well, you brought it up. You talked about the family. Family's kind of a newer thing for me. Recently got married, recently had a boy. He's 15 months old. And to carry that little guy around, see him get excited about the world and figure things out. Man, he's giggling, he's happy. It is awesome. So that's been kind of a fun thing for me to experience recently. Got through the nights where we didn't really sleep much. It's amazing how much you can actually do with such little amount of sleep, but nonetheless, we're really enjoying that. And then the other thing that, I don't know if you and I've talked about, but what I like to do often is when I meet people that are typically from out of California, is bring them in, invite them to come by. We get to talk, do some business perhaps. But before, I usually say, hey, come on down. I'll get you set up. Wetsuit, surfboard, free surf lesson. And I tell you what, I do get people to say yes, and we get them in the water, and it's their first time. I always try to hope that they have a little bit of swimming capability, but we do attach a surfboard to them, so they're not going to go too far. But maybe that's the other thing is our next step you and I need to do is get you out on a surfboard and try some waves here in Newport Beach or Huntington Beach. See how you do.
Yeah, we can make a spectacle of that too, and I'm sure we could raise some good money for any charity to get my
Yes,
behind up on a surfboard.
we could do it. I'm confident in you.
All right, I'll take you up on that next time I'm out there for sure.
Absolutely. I've gotten everyone from brand new swimmers to long-standing triathletes. It's kind of a leveling maker, if you will, to learn how to stand on a surfboard and be in the ocean. But it is a sublime experience. You will have plenty of stories to tell afterwards.
Excellent. Dave
Yeah.
Rhodes has been trying to get me out, so might have to drag him in too.
No, we
If
got
you don't
we
mind.
got it. We got all kinds of boards, all kinds of wetsuits.
All right, awesome, excellent. And then having a 15-month-old boy, congratulations.
Thank you.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, my kids, I think I told you a little bit older,
Hmm.
17 and 8. So it'll be interesting to see that work-life balance as as he grows, or even if you have more as they get where you're sitting there and it's like doing all these things, right? It's
Yes.
kind of crazy, but it'll be fun to
Yep.
see, Jonathan.
Yep. Well, we've had some folks here that chose to work the super early hours so they could get home early. And I remember one was telling me she came by and she's like, "Hey, my kids are like so curious. What's happening?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Because I'm home all the time." And one of the things I recognized was if someone needs to get home early, go do it. If someone needs to shift their hours, go do it. We like having people in the office and getting to see them, but we also like them being home. So I'm definitely gonna take some of my own recommendation there and get home, hang out with the family, and get all rejuvenated and then ready to go back at it.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
the right thing to do too, right? I mean, if your employees are happy and you're fostering that environment, confidence in them that they can still be fully functioning. I mean, I think you probably are in the same page when you're home, working from home, you're probably working more than you
Mhm.
are in the office, less distractions. Well, maybe less distractions.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
yeah, no, hey, here you go. You're just like, oh.
Yeah, it's hard to say no when that little guy comes over and wants to get picked up.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And my last question I have for you, Jonathan, is why should someone want to do business with you and EFFI Finance?
Oh my gosh, great question. I would say the first and foremost is we're going to make sure that we look at the whole picture for them. We're going to get back to that, which I kind of the moniker of well priced, well structured, well financed. We're going to be able to help them with the transaction that they have, as well as a longer term program. Maybe it's a whole capex for the year, maybe it's next year too. And we're also going to probably overshare a little bit. Here's how it works. Here's what you need to read. Let me show you the financials. Let me show you the documents. Do a lot of screen share as much as they want to see to feel comfortable because they'd be trying someone new. And then the next thing is it doesn't just stop at, hey, let's buy some new equipment. It could be used equipment, cash out, refi, restructure. We even help some folks buy other companies and to be able to kind of get alongside a CFO or a CEO and sit on their side of the table and go, this is what we recommend and here's why. That's been the difference maker when we get to have that type of relationship with a client.
Thank you
Yeah.
for thank you for sharing. I really appreciate your time today, Jonathan, and hopefully our paths cross sometime in the near future. But it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure getting to
I
know
already
you
got
and
you
your
saying
story.
yes. We're putting you in the water. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I gotta go. Right. I
Let's
mean,
do
at
it.
some point, so I'd rather go willingly than just being grabbed and being like, okay, now you have no choice.
You're gonna
So
love it. You're
yeah,
gonna love it. Maybe we'll even get a little camera out there and do an interview.
it's fine. It's fine. It is what it is.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you.
All right, Jesse. Nicely done.
Perfect.